and welcome.
No, shut up. No one wants to hear from you, Ian. God damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the Ian Brew podcast. What are we talking today about? Sadness? Hello and welcome to the GameBrew podcast, episode 75. This is the bi-weekly video game podcast where we sip beers, chat about games, and sing poorly. I am your host, Ian Hufflepuff Richard, and today I'm joined by Will Ravenclaw Shell.
Knowledge is a weapon, and I intend to be formidably armed.
Okay. Dan Slytherin Rots.
Listen, I'm still a good person. Hashtag not all Slytherins.
And Katie Ravenclaw Hunt.
I like books.
On the first half of today's show, we'll chat about subscription and streaming services that we love. And on the second half, we'll consider the effect of the long-awaited tag on sequels. But first, it's time for a beer. Chris, what are we drinking? Oh, wait a second.
Chris.
Guys.
Chris.
Chris isn't here.
Where's Chris?
Ah!
That means,
Chris isn't here.
That means we can drink whatever we want.
What? Oh. Well, you guys, you know what's a good idea? Do you guys have, do you have Jameson Irish Whiskey on
doesn't.
I
hand?
have some whiskey on hand.
I just happen to have some right here, Dan.
Oh, what a surprise! So, because I feel like, because this is going to release very close to St. Patrick's Day, and I don't feel like doing 6 Irish car bombs this year.
Dan, you're
So,
just not your old
I'm-
self
I'm-
these days.
I'm just not. I'm getting old. I'm 30 now.
right.
I gotta
You gotta cap that at 4.5 tops.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're drinking Jameson Irish Whiskey, or a variety of Jameson. So Ian, you're just drinking straight up
Yes,
Jameson?
I am. Jameson in a cup with ice.
Nice. Will, you're about the
Yeah,
same,
about the
correct?
same. I have a decent bit in there, just a splash, because
No ice.
no ice,
No ice on
no
that?
ice, because I'm a man.
No, you
I'm
can
gonna
do ice.
get.
You can do rocks.
I'm gonna
It's
get
okay.
increasingly more Irish as the podcast goes on because I'm drinking it like a man.
Oh, I could start it out now.
Thank you, there.
Oh.
Where?
Oh,
my
kiss the
lucky
Blarney
charms.
Stone.
But kiss the Blarney Stone.
Go kiss your own Blarney
you
Stone.
can- I was gonna say you could kiss my Blarney Stone anytime you're saying. I'm drinking a little bit of a mixer. It's a Jameson and ginger with some blackberry like currant in it. So it's a little bit fruitier. As I said, slowing it down.
Yeah,
in my
that's
30s.
awfully
Is that
slow.
that Blackberry Canada Dry? That stuff is the best.
It's so
and
good.
A great,
I love
a great
blackberry
mixer.
Canada
It's like
Dry.
Dr. Pepper meets ginger ale.
Yes, it's the Dr. Pepper of ginger ales.
Kind of. That's true. And Katie, what are you
I have
drinking?
a hot toddy, so just English
Nice.
breakfast tea and honey and lemon and whiskey.
Wow, that is not how I thought
whiskey.
hot toddies were made, but cool, I dig.
What did you
Hot
think
toddy.
they were?
I thought hot toddy was it was like cider, like an apple cider plus hot whiskey, like all of it hot, but like a hot apple cider plus whiskey.
I've always thought it was
And a cinnamon
tea.
stick. But
Maybe. I
cool.
don't know.
Thing is just hot things
Hot,
with whiskey
yeah,
in it
yeah,
is
yeah.
really all it comes down to.
You know what's funny
Do you wanna-
is this is like just the whiskey straight alone is so much smoother than I remember it being. This is actually a decent sipping whiskey. I was about to talk
it's-
shit about Jameson, and it's
No,
pretty
you
good.
should never talk shit about Jameson because it's one of the most popular Irish whiskeys in the whole world.
I can see why. It's got a nice.
Yeah.
I
Got
can't
a
wait
nice,
till
like,
I grow up and get hair on my chest, like Grandpa
peatiness
always said,
to
to
it.
where I can sip whiskey without feeling like I'm drinking rusty nails.
Yeah. So this was originally distilled in Dublin, but now it's distilled in New Middleton Distillery in County Cork.
County Clark.
County Cork.
Cork.
Oh, cark. Like a carcass.
Like C-O-R-K. Cork. It was and it is produced from a blend of grain whiskey and single pot still whiskey, which uses a mixture of malted and unmalted green Irish barley. It's all sourced within a 50-mile radius around the distillery too.
Oh, cool. Man, if only Chris were here to tell us what all that meant.
So it's definitely local. But it's good. It's nice. I drank a lot of this in college, so
Yeah, I went to the liquor store to
Getting
pick
PTSD.
a little bit of this up, and I came in. She's like, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just looking for little airplane bottles of Jameson because I didn't want to buy a whole bottle and then have to drink Jameson for months on end." And
Get to drink Jameson for months on end.
Yes.
like I said, have to drink Jameson for months on end. And then, and she goes, "Okay, yeah, they're $5 a piece. So if you want two, you might as well just get this larger bottle because you get more whiskey for the same amount of money." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't really want that much. So maybe you could just give me the two." And she's like, she looks at me like, you're a fucking idiot, man. And I'm like,
Aw.
I know what you're saying makes sense.
She shouldn't
I
judge
just
your
don't
choices.
want that much whiskey in my house.
Then she looked at you and like up and down and went,
And she
you
goes,
seem like
and then
you
she
wouldn't want
goes, and then
whiskey.
she goes, "Well, you can never have too much liquor in your house." And I was like,
Boom.
"You own a liquor store. I do not."
does she own the liquor store?
Yeah, I was the owner.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say in Pennsylvania you can't own them; they're state owned, so
Yeah.
it's different.
man.
But yeah, that's cool. We're all drinking Jameson things this week because St. Patty's Day is going to be right around the corner.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful time when rivers light on fire or something. What's the deal with St. Patrick's Day? St. Patrick
Green
drove the
stuff.
snakes out of Ireland, and
just
that's
green
like a
stuff.
metaphor for like sending the druids home.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for saying like they kicked all the pagans out.
Wow, this is feeling much more imperialist, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable with it now.
Well, welcome to Europe in the Dark Ages.
Welcome to Holidays, the current year edition. We stole your traditions and made them our own.
That's how we do. I mean, that's how we do.
Right. So what have we been playing this week? I've got like a grab bag of stuff.
I've got a double whap whap wah this
A
week.
double blap blap.
Oh.
Well, let's start with that since the rest of it's going to be downhill.
Okay, so I've got the first whap whap wah. Here it is. Whap, whap, wah.
Bow, 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 bow.
Is Hollow Knight. I finished that.
Oh, so good. How did it feel?
It's good. I mean, I finished it. I did one of the endings to it. So I finished like the main ending. I have a lot more work to do.
Sure.
To get like the God Seeker endings and stuff like that,
Yep.
because there's like some really hard challenges and bosses I have to fight still. But it was really good. It was the coolest mix of being adorable and dark at the same time.
That is really
you know?
true. That it's got. You know what other game has that vibe is Ori and the Blind Forest. Has kind of like a cuteness and darkness vibe at the same time, and it works.
That's my aesthetic.
Yeah. And it also really, really itched your like Castlevania, like it, like scratch that itch because of all the map exploration. You have to get all these different power ups and stuff.
Dan,
It was really
can
neat.
I ask you a question?
Sure.
Since you've turned 30, do you have more itches to scratch?
What is?
So the second game that I finished, actually I just finished yesterday, was A Plague Tale: Innocence,
Ah, yes.
and it was very good.
Was it
It was-
spoopy or is it more just like stressful?
It's described as an action, a stealth action horror adventure game.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah, it is. But because it's basically like you're a teenage girl and her like 5-year-old brother, so you have to hide from enemies. It's not like you can go around swinging a sword. You have like a sling, and that's the only thing you can use to distract enemies to sneak by them, or to take out some enemies. You end up eventually doing that more. And also there's plagues. There's lots of rats, and the rat physics are very unsettling and good. I initially played it just because I thought it was going to be short and like nice and story based, and it was very nice and story based, but it took me a very long time to finish. There were way more chapters than I thought.
Okay, well, blah, 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 blah.
Those are both long games, so suck it, Chris.
I'm sorry. Quickly,
Hear
if
that?
you could, rat physics.
Rat physics.
Rat physics. So there's a lot of scenes where a lot of the puzzles have to do with it's a fantasized plague times. It's like 1380 something in France, or like the French European like area. So the things that carry the plague are rats, and what they do is there's like some levels where it's just like the rats are afraid of light, but you can see the rats are all scurrying around, and they have almost individualized physics for the rats. So it's almost like water.
Yeah.
That it looks like, but it's super upsetting.
It's like World War Z, the movie. Kind of looks like that.
Yeah. But it's very good. The story is super engrossing. I definitely recommend playing it. It's super well rated. After I started playing it, I was like, oh my gosh, people gave this like almost perfect scores for being a great game. It's good.
Wow. I'll have to check that one out. I'm interested.
Do it. It's on Game Pass.
Yes.
Ultimate.
Yes.
So
I started playing this game called Faria, which is it's a card battler. Shockingly, I know, but it has a bunch of solo content, and it also is like a little bit of a Catan or Catan. Do we say Catan or do we say Catan?
I say Catan.
I say Catan.
I say
Yeah.
Catan.
Yes.
I say Cat Dan.
Settlers
actually.
of Catan. Catan. Anyway, it's got like a Catan-like board where you can put mountains or deserts or plains or lakes kind of down on it, and that affects the cards in your hand as well as like how the creatures on the board interact with those board pieces. So it's a little bit like chess meets Hearthstone meets Catan, which to me is like
Cool.
I may as well have invented this game.
Crack. It's crack. Yeah.
And I picked up the like base edition for free on Epic because you don't really buy card packs. You can unlock all of the card packs by playing all the solo content, which is great. So I picked it up for free. I've been playing it, really enjoying it. It's super snappy. I haven't played any online yet, but the AI computer battling is good. And like I feel like I'm getting smarter and progressing. And I love the little puzzles.
Ian's finally getting smarter, you guys.
Well, it's happening.
You're doing
It's
it,
happening.
Ian.
I also played a little bit of Ape Out, which is kind of like if Hotline Miami, instead of being like a bearded sort of druggy fellow, was just an ape.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's just a lot of
Yep,
murdering
I've seen
going
that.
on. And
Cool.
I expect to be finished with that within the next couple of days. So
Nice. Get
Very
you on the
cool.
board.
yeah, get me on the... Wait. I finished something. Oh, I finished Everspace. Did we talk about that last week?
No, you posted it.
That's right.
In the Discord,
I said it.
but you
I
did finish
finished
Everspace.
It was...
Wah, 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 wah.
It was a great game. I'm glad I finished it. Really enjoyed the game. The more I played it, the more I continued to like it. Tons of depth there. Still could go back and do more runs of Everspace, but glad to be done with it for now. I think it took me like 25-ish hours, so I don't know if
That's
that's
not bad.
long
That's
or
a long
medium.
game,
Great. It's
so-
long. There you go. Katie, what have you been up to?
Been playing some Pokemans.
Sword and Shield?
Yes, Sword.
Sword.
Chris has
Nice.
Shield.
Got it.
And I just beat the 8th gym, the Dragon gym leader. And
Nice.
now I get to go to the semifinals and then challenge the champion. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Are
Take
you, so,
them
what,
down.
how does this compare to other Pokemon games that you've played in the past? Are you
Oh my God.
happier with it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is like the Pokemon that we all wanted when Red and Blue came out. And I feel like this is like more accurate to a lot of like just the Pokemon world.
A lot of
Oh,
people were
okay.
upset that like the whole classic roster isn't on there, and that a lot
There's
of
a
the
good amount though.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them.
and that a lot of the animations seem like they're carried over from previous iterations. Are you not feeling like that at all? Like you're just like, no, it's good.
That's possible because I've played a little bit of Moon, and then the last one I think I played before that was like Alpha Sapphire and Leaf Green, and then Red. No, I don't know. I mean, I like how there are some of the original ones. Some of the new ones are so stupid that like at first I was like, oh my god, this is the stupidest shit. But once you like embrace how stupid they are, they're actually like really cute.
Oh, I see. You have to love them for their stupidity. It's like Dan.
Yeah.
gotta
No,
embrace.
it's because I'm so stupid that I'm charming. Is what happens.
Like
that's
one
cute.
is literally an ice cream. Like it's an ice cream cone.
Is it? Tell
then
me
it
his name
evolves-
is not like ice cream cone spelled backward, because that would
No,
be
it's
ridiculous.
the names are so stupid too. No, it's Vanillite, and it evolves into a bigger ice
Vanillite.
cream with more like ice cream peaks. So then it's a vanillish, and then something else. There's a lot of really
Vanilla
fun.
door.
There's a lot of really fun, like, random ghost combination Pokemon that I really like with this one. We finally got our jack-o'-lantern Pokemon that I've been wanting.
Oh, I was going to say, is that a thing that we've wanted? I didn't.
Yes. Those of us that, okay. And there's a fighting octopus one. He's so cute. I really like it. So that's good. I don't think I played any Witcher 3 this week, but I'm slowly working on that.
But you're working through it.
Yes.
Nice. I was going to say, Chris may have a wah for us whenever he comes back.
For Witcher 3?
Yeah.
Ugh, that's going to be a big one. All right, Will, what have you been up to?
Well, I got a library card this week.
That's not a video game.
Actually, I have been playing games, but sidebar, first library card ever. Right here's my first library book ever. Elementary school doesn't count. This is my first public library book ever. Shout out to Neil deGrasse Tyson and Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. So I feel all smart and stuff. I have been playing. Do you guys know what auto chess is?
Ooh, yes, a league thing.
Yes, I'm familiar with
it. I just started playing auto chess on my iPad and phone, and it's super fun. Like, way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Auto chess works for those of us who are uninitiated.
So, imagine a chessboard. Okay, 4 people playing on it one time, or up to 4 people, 1 per corner kind of thing. Although you only go up against 1 opponent at a time, so it's kind of a round robin thing. Mm-hmm. You get resources with each
turn.
Thank you. And as you build those resources and win more, you gain them faster, and you can upgrade your forces, like level 2 forces, level 4 forces. You can upgrade faster than you normally would if you didn't have the resources. So more money, more power kind of thing. And it's essentially you just kind of fill up your chessboard with the strongest, most badass, and most number of entities that you can. And there's some strategic elements to it as well. Mm-hmm. Like you could throw all melee fighters in there and they get a melee boost. You could throw all technical fighters in there and they get a boost to that particular quality, or magic users, what have you. So there's a little bit of strategy that goes in there depending on the opponent you're fighting at any given time. And it's really cool. It's fast paced and it's a quick reward kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoy it. It's like drive-through for games. It's like, give me cheeseburger now. So it feels good.
Give me cheeseburger now.
Give me cheeseburger now.
Give me cheeseburger now. What's it called? What's the one that you're playing?
Literally, the one I downloaded is called Auto Chess.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just called
Auto Chess. Now there is one, like, it is a genre though. Like, this is apparently the first one from what I've read. But Dota has one out. There's like a Dota version of Auto Chess that's supposedly really popular. It's good stuff. I highly recommend it. If you want to play a fast-paced game that doesn't feel cheap and doesn't feel like it's like you're going to hit a big paywall or anything, I definitely recommend it. It's great fun and it's simple, easy to pick up and put down.
Nice.
Cool.
Play it while I'm on my way to the library.
No, don't say that. Also, I knew a guy named Auto Chess in high school.
Speaking of your new library subscription, let's get into topic 1, which is, believe it or not, subscription services. So this was something that actually I brought up because there are so many subscription services out there. Some of them are streaming services. Some of them are like pick your game services. Some of them are like you just get access to this library of game services, and we wanted to talk about a few of our favorites, as well as a few maybe that we're not so fond of, and sort of let you know where the deals are and where the deals aren't.
Where the deals isn't.
Where, thank you.
Isn't.
Where they's isn't.
And the first thing that I wanted to talk about, since I've been playing a ton of Everspace and Sea of Thieves lately, is Xbox Games with Gold, and also the Xbox Game Pass for PC and console. So Games with Gold is just sort of like the base. You get these games with your Xbox Online subscription every month. Right. And the Game Passes for PC and for console give you access to a certain library of games, right?
Right.
So what's really cool about this, and what I really like about it, is that the Xbox Game Pass for PC right now is really good. It's got that game that Dan was just talking about, A Plague Tale, on there, as well as Ape Out and Ark, and a bunch of other really great stuff. Dead Cells is on there. Frostpunk, a bunch of Gears games, Hollow Knight, Hotline Miami. Just like, there's so many good games on this list already. And they have a ton of amazing stuff coming out for PC next year too. Or this year too. So Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the new Microsoft Flight Sim that's coming out. I think Final Fantasy 15 for PC is already on there too. It's like it's nuts already on there. How much stuff you get access to.
It's big. Yeah, and they are splitting it up a little bit. Like right now there's two with Game Pass. There's like Game Pass that you can get, which is console.
Right.
And you can use it in tandem with Xbox Live Gold. So those are two separate things.
But what's cool about this is that I've been playing Sea of Thieves on a console Game Pass on my PC with my brother.
Which, unfortunately, may stop soon.
But you have to pay more for that, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it's different. So what they're doing is, instead of having the two separate things where you can do Game Pass and you do Xbox Live Gold, now what they have is called Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is where then it gives you access to Game Pass on your Xbox and your computer. It also includes the Gold subscription, so you don't have to worry about doing separate things for it, which that's currently what I'm doing with it, because it's nice, because I was paying for two things and they had some promotions that I did, so I only paid like $1 for the first month, so I had to renew my subscription for Gold anyway. So I was like, oh, this will kind of balance everything out.
Folks who are on just PC and maybe don't have an Xbox, they're going to have to pay for Ultimate, correct?
They would have to.
No, I don't think so.
Well, actually,
no,
that's
you
not
can
true.
just buy Xbox Game Pass now, and it's only for $5 a month, and it gets you all the PC stuff. So if you're interested,
but that's just for PC, so you wouldn't be able to play anything on your Xbox. Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to play anything on Xbox, but you could still, for games that are cross-platform, you can still use the Xbox Game Overlay to connect with your Xbox friends as they're playing on Xbox, and play on your PC with your Xbox friends.
Right.
So I'm still looking at this as like, Xbox is really doing a good job of trying to bring together its PC offerings, which have not been all that great, and combine them with its rather sturdy console generation. And you can sort of see that in like the philosophy of the next Xbox too, right? Like, people keep saying it's just a PC. Well, I would like to just cross the just out and say it's a PC.
And that's fine.
And what they're trying to do is bring all of this together into one continuous platform, so that people don't have to pick and choose who they're playing with, which to me is really exciting. Now, whether or not game developers get on board with that, I don't know, but I really have loved being able to play on my PC with my console friends. Like, that's been huge for me in the past couple of weeks.
The PlayStation Plus works in a similar way, except without the PC stuff,
right?
Or because it's only for PlayStation. Has anyone done any of the PlayStation Plus? I mean, PlayStation Plus, I guess, is similar to Xbox Live.
You mean PlayStation Gold. Now?
PlayStation Now is the one that is like Ultimate, where it's like you get access to games that you can download partially and then play whenever you have an internet connection.
I looked into it, but it's one of the things I didn't like that turned me off, and I didn't even bother with it, is all the games that I was excited about playing on it had an expiration date. It's like, you can play this until, and it's like 3 weeks and the game's going to be gone. So I was like, okay, well, this is like a big rotational thing. I don't want that.
Yeah, the PlayStation Plus games, I'm pretty sure you got forever though. As long as you had your sub up.
Plus, you get forever, but PlayStation Now, no. Some of those bigger titles are on a rotation, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, well, the good thing about Plus was that they had a really strong, at the beginning of the PlayStation cycle and sort of like mid-cycle PlayStation 4 cycle, mid-cycle PlayStation 4, they had a lot of...
Say that a different way. Mid-cycle PlayStation 4? Mid-4 PlayStation cycle.
Okay. But in the middle of the cycle for the lifetime of that console, there were a lot of really strong first-party offerings where they were like PlayStation games that were within some sort of PlayStation-owned or heavily partnered studio that got released on PlayStation Plus that were super strong, and they had a really solid indie library. And that's kind of died off in the last 6 months to a year. And in the meantime, Xbox has really done a good job of sort of filling out its library, both of indie games and of AAA titles, to the point where, honestly, I think the Xbox subscription is probably a better deal now. It's not as sexy because the consoles are almost like, this generation is almost out the door. We'll have new consoles at the end of the year.
Maybe. We hopefully we'll have them at the end of the year.
I will stake a claim that we'll have both PlayStation 5s and Xbox
Series X's.
Yeah, but the Series X is like the fancy version. The new regular version is so far just going to be called Xbox.
It's called the Sex Box.
just box.
Just box. Just get rid of the X.
Hey, do you want to come? That's a weird thing to say to somebody. Hey, you want to come over and play on my box?
Introducing the new Microsoft box.
You can put things in it. You can use it to carry cats. If you're Solid Snake, you can hide under it, and maybe no one will see you.
There you go. But yeah,
Katie.
Yeah.
Katie, do you have a Nintendo? You're subscribed to the Nintendo online system, right?
I don't think I am, but I'm pretty sure Chris and my brother-in-law are.
Okay.
Now that's one I really like.
That's a good one.
You like the Nintendo one? Wait a second, what?
Yeah, because you get that backlog of NES and SNES games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
See,
right.
that's kind of where the money is on that one, because it's like, because you can't with Nintendo, unless you have the console, there's no other way to. There's been no other way to play the games. Mm-hmm. No legitimate way to play the games. And with Nintendo putting all sorts of sanctions on ROM sites now, that's making people be able to play less of that stuff.
Right.
So
the thing with the Nintendo subscription service is, honestly, the NES and Super NES titles on there they're great. Like, these are very classic, really great games. Like, they're top tier Nintendo games from the past. My issue is it seems more like a fig leaf. Like, it's not a true subscription service like Game Pass or the PlayStation subscription service is, right? It's more like, here's this thing, and also now you can play online. And it's only $20 a year, I think, so it's super cheap.
Yeah, it's very inexpensive, which is kind of why I don't think they're as keen to put more stuff on it.
Right, but I'm kind of surprised that they haven't gone with the model. Actually, maybe I'm not so surprised, because Nintendo tends to be very greedy about its backlog of games, to be perfectly honest. Like, they could very easily put Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 in a sort of like monthly service and give them away, but it seems like they don't want to.
Well, and they do release, like, they had the little NES thing they released not that long ago with like a bunch of the older games on it. And then
the mini NES?
Yeah. And then once that was gone, people were like freaking out. And I think that's part of why they started offering these with their subscriptions. So this is not entirely the same, but you guys know, well, wait. Are you allowed to say this game? I don't remember.
You could just say it.
Tread lightly. We'll see.
Damn it. Well, okay. The second game that I already said today. You guys saw that now you'll be able to do cross saves between your Switch and your PC, right?
Oh, on that game by CD Projekt Red about the
with the white-haired protagonist,
the white-haired guy who kills women in pointy hats.
Yes,
Fabio with a sword.
Very sexy.
More or less, actually.
Yeah.
With a very deep voice.
So I'm excited about that, though, because like Chris kept sort of shaming me into only playing on PC when it came out on the Switch. And I was like, honestly, I'm going to play it in bed on my Switch probably more than I would to like come and play it on PC. But now if you can cross save between the two, like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
It makes the Switch version worth it. I think outside of that, I don't know if I'd play it on Switch.
One of the things that I think is so special about the Nintendo system is that you can't get those games anywhere else unless you just happen to have them. Like, those retro games are really, really, really hard to come by, those cartridges, if you even still have the hardware. With, the PlayStation Now service, one of the big reasons I didn't bother with that is I can also just run down to any old game store, GameStop, or we have a couple others locally here, and for like $4 or $5, pick up some really great, former AAA titles and play through them at my own pace and not have to worry about, are they going off of the service? But I have access to those outside of the PlayStation Now service. You don't with the Nintendo stuff.
Although those game spots might not be around too much longer.
GameStop recorded record lows for their revenue last year, so it's not good. There was a thing I was watching on a gaming news thing where they're having GameStop employees are having 5 to 6 conference calls a day, in their store if they're not meeting their tech buyback numbers, which is nuts. I hate having 3 conference calls a week. Imagine having 5 to 6 a day.
No, thank you. I'm out.
That's crazy.
That makes me really sad, because when I worked there, you wouldn't get hours if you didn't sell subscriptions to their card and magazine thing.
Yeah.
And so now I wonder if their hours are tied to
can we do a show on that? Because their magazine thing, if you get it online, is absolute rubbish.
Oh yeah,
Crystal gets it. Yeah, I think
it's rubbish unless you get it in print.
Game Informer.
Yeah, print's fine.
The print version's way better still, but that also is probably not going to be around much longer. They get let go about 20% of their staff.
We can definitely talk about the demise of GameStop.
Let's get their staff and start GameBrew magazine.
GameBrew magazine coming to a store near you.
Let's start another dying media. Everybody, come on! Everybody join in.
Dan, it's only dying for 20 years, and then in 20 years, people are gonna the hipsters are gonna get back into it. The hipsters of 20 years from now, fucking vinyl, and they'll be magazines. Yeah. It's you actually turn the pages instead of scrolling.
I gotcha. Well, speaking of 20 years ago, do you remember it wasn't 20 years ago, it was probably 15 years ago, but the first game subscription service? Did anybody else subscribe to GameFly? Did anybody else do that? I did that.
I never subscribed.
I remember that happening, though.
They're still around.
I did not.
Oh, you didn't? It was so cool because it came out.
Did.
It was the same thing that Netflix did. Netflix? Have you guys heard of Netflix?
Yeah.
But remember how Netflix used to actually send you physical discs, right?
Yeah.
This was the same way, except because there was a limited supply, you'd have a queue, and they would try and send you whatever was the closest to the top of your queue until you sent that game back, and then they would send you another one after that.
It's just like my library card.
This is still a thing. This is exactly the same model, and it still exists.
Yeah, they're still going.
Yeah.
GameFly is still going.
Still going. It's definitely not as strong, just because they're banking mainly on their streaming stuff now, or the online thing. But
So, you guys, did you see that Amber used to do the Netflix DVDs for forever, and it was maybe a year ago she was still doing the DVDs, and finally got a message from Netflix being we're not doing DVDs anymore.
We're not. Listen, we're not sending this to you.
She was so sad. She was this is the end of an era.
It's tough. I mean, some people really like that physical. I mean, I still kind of like it, having that physical thing that you put into the game machine and it turns on.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm a product of now, where I'm you know what? Forget that. I just want to download it and play it.
It just wants to be jacked into the Matrix all the time.
Speaking of the Now, has anyone heard anything or read anything about NVIDIA GeForce Now?
I have actually messed with this because I have a Shield.
You have a Shield. Okay, so have you messed with this at all?
I did. When I first got my Shield about a year ago, you could mess with the service. They had a lot you could do just for free. Mm-hmm. I had it on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
in the same room as my router, and there was a delay, but it was and it was noticeable, but it was definitely still playable. I played quite a bit of one of the new Tomb Raiders, as well as Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
And especially with Arkham Asylum, the delay was there, but once you adjusted, it's like less than a quarter of a second, like a eighth of a second delay. Once you adjusted, you could get flow to the combat system. So if you didn't have a standard of comparison, you could totally make that work on a good internet connection and not be super annoyed by it, at least in my experience. And I liked it.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is still in beta. But I want to be really clear that this is a game streaming service. So it's a little bit different from a subscription service in that it's not your physical hardware, whether that be a console or a PC, that's running the game. So basically, your little thing, whatever it is you're using to run this service, in this case could be a phone, could be a computer, whatever, is sending input information off to a server. The server is actually running the game. It receives that input information and sends you back video. So there's basically no computing going on whatever the thing that you have in your hands, which is really cool if you're not someone who has access to a console or has access to a high-end PC, that you can still run really video-intensive games on a PC or even a Mac that doesn't have great settings or great ability to do that. And in this particular service, your Steam library, you can log into that on your NVIDIA GeForce Now service, and your entire Steam library is in there, which is super cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
The GeForce and all these streaming things, I think that, is there a price for that, or is it still like...
there is a price for NVIDIA GeForce. I don't remember what it is. It's still in beta.
$5 a month.
There you go.
$5 a month? Okay. Because companies like Stadia, like Google, who are trying to do something similar with Stadia, where it's like a streaming service for games that's a subscription, so it's $10 a month, but you have to pay $129 for the initial peripheral for it.
Right.
And it's a very small library of games that you also have to pay for, but they are giving you some free ones now. The problem is with a small library of games and with the Stadia, they're trying to market it to gamers, which is like, this isn't... gamers don't want to play old games with like delay on devices that aren't meant to be like gaming in quotes devices.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it's so expensive. And this part of my gripe with the whole Stadia thing is just that it's a lot of money for not a whole lot of support.
Right. So,
especially whenever it feels like a beta.
So I actually want to get to Stadia in a second, but I want to stick with GeForce Now for one second. So there are a couple of things about GeForce. I think this one might actually have a compelling use case for people who want to get into PC gaming but are like Mac gamers. People who have and that was me. I had a computer, but it was a Mac, and I couldn't really run all the things that everybody else would run. And this would allow you to not have to like partition a hard drive and install Windows on that partition, and then install Steam and do all that stuff. You could literally just use GeForce Now and plug in, your LAN cable and go from there. Or if you're, the other thing I was going to say is, or if you're on the go and you have like a Chromebook, and you wanted to play AAA titles on the go, but you can't really do that unless you're on the go means you have an incredibly robust 5G wireless connection, which is like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Exactly. But that's also where these services are kind of tough. It's because if they market themselves to people who are not gamers, and again, it's the same thing with Stadia. If they were marketing themselves to people who weren't gamers, it would make a lot more sense. Instead, they're trying, because it's like they wouldn't care about having the equipped. Like they could play it on a phone. Like you could play like it on your smartphone. It's like, yeah, I want to play Assassin's Creed on my smartphone. Yeah, cool. This is really awesome. And you wouldn't mind so much. But instead, it's being marketed to people like us as a people. I would never get any sort of like these game streaming services just because it's like I couldn't deal with that lag. I just couldn't have. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I can barely play Beat Saber if there's like a slight delay in this stuff.
As much as I travel, I would definitely do it, especially with smartphone screens today. Like, I mean, it's so realistic. Like, the Ring Girl could just like crawl out of your phone screen at any time. Like,
sure, but do you really want to play a high-powered video game on a tiny little, like, you're gonna play God of War on your smartphone and feel good about it? Like, I don't think so.
I mean, if I play for the experience, like the story, so I'm not gonna be too upset by that.
Yeah,
that's not gonna bother me.
What about you, Katie? What's your input?
I don't know. As somebody who also, I see the appeal for being on the go. But yeah, I think it really just depends on like your preferred, like, do you want to play this on not a great PC, or do you like, or would you rather be able to play it anywhere?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, GeForce Now still, I'm glad they actually still have the beta tag on there, because Stadia doesn't. But GeForce Now also still kind of feels like a beta. Like, you'll get drops in frame rate or drops in resolution. Like, it'll cut from 1080 down to 720, which is just like them, A, getting the infrastructure down right, and B, making sure the software can really run seamlessly. Because if there's even a tiny hiccup, you're going to feel that in the game. So let's talk about Stadia real quick.
Actually, real quick, Ian, for anybody who does want to try out GeForce Now, they do offer a free option. You're limited to queuing up for games for their servers, kind of like waiting to log into WoW, and you've got only 1 hour at a time.
Oh, but you can
play.
Just do
but if you want to try it
free.
out, it's free.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. We'll post that in the show notes so you guys can go log into that free service. So let's talk about Stadia. Stadia made a big splash maybe 3 months ago, I think.
I wouldn't even say it was a big splash.
Well,
I would say it made a average size splash that should have been a beta.
It was like,
but instead it fully
there
released.
were ripples in the water.
It was like a belly flop. Like, there was a splash, but it wasn't because things went particularly well.
Yes.
Right. And one of the things that Dan was pointing out is that the Stadia library is solid. There are some really good games on the Stadia library, and this is the streaming service from Google. But there really aren't that many different kinds of experiences to choose from. It's basically like adventure games and first-person shooters, and there's really not a whole lot of diversity in terms of like indie games or things of that nature, which is kind of a bummer because that would really work well for the platform. There's not a whole lot of like video fidelity needed. Input lag doesn't really matter so much. It feels like it would be a wise thing to do. I just feel like they missed an opportunity there.
Do you know how many games are available on Stadia?
It's like 25 or something.
Well, no, it's more than that now.
Oh, okay.
It's 42.
Oh, whoa.
Currently.
Whoa, 42 games.
Hold on, I'm sorry. No, this is from the Premier Edition website, and some of these games are not yet released, so we got to take some out.
Burr.
Like Watch Dogs Legion is not out yet.
That's not out yet.
I think the what else is there? Doom Eternal isn't out yet.
No, it sure isn't. Nope.
Cyberpunk 2077 isn't
Definitely
out yet.
not out
released. Yeah, it doesn't have a release date even, turns
Baldur's
out.
Gate 3 is on there.
Also not out
and we
yet.
just got a release for that. So it's like it's like they're trying to get people into this thing, and it's just like it's just too expensive, and it's just there's just not enough depth. They should have waited.
I think the other barrier to entry for Stadia is that you have to go through this like really arcane series of steps to get it to work on any given platform. Like, first you have to have the controller in your hand, and then you have to log into a Google service on your phone, and then you have to log into like a different thing via the controller plugged into a thing, and then you have to link the two, and then you can start doing things. So it's like, to Dan's point where he's like, this would be really great for people who are trying to break into gaming but don't have access to a whole lot of hardware, can't afford to plunk down $500 in cash for a new console. This would be a really great option. And it might compete in some way against the new PlayStation and the new Xbox coming out in December. But even if you were that, like, that's a lot. That's enough setup for like some parent who wants to buy their kids something to play on to be like, you know what, screw this. This is ridiculous. I can't get past this opening sort of gambit of trying to plug it in and get it to work and figure out how the subscription service works and like actually get a game going on there.
Right. It's like you'd be able to play, like, you want to play. I'm looking through the list of games to see if there's one that I'd want to play that's on here.
Guilt. GYLT. Guilt. It's the only platform exclusive.
That's the only exclusive, which, I mean, to its credit,
it's supposed to be good.
It's supposed to be pretty okay, which is, as being a game that was like, hey, we got to put this with the system, so we got to release it like this, and it's a little stealth puzzler.
Platformy sort of guy. It looks, it kind of reminds me of, what is that little, like, claymation sort of platformer guy. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
But anyway, like, the rest of the stuff is like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where it's like, okay, somebody wants to play this, they don't have the means to an Xbox or a PlayStation, and they don't want to pay for a PC, then sure, you'd be able to use the Google Stadia. Pay $130 plus the cost of the game as well, another $60 for the game, and you'd be able to do that.
Right.
But it's just like you could get a good console for that, and still, I feel like we're getting a little bit too far into my hatred of Stadia and Google for releasing things before they're ready. But
that's a viable concern, though. One of my concerns with this is that before I go dropping $130 on it and then pay $10 a month for the service, is that Google is notorious for, like, oh, I'm done with that now. Chuck it over the shoulder. Let's go do something new.
Google glasses, remember those?
Google Glass, yeah. Honestly,
do.
I think this will be less of a Google Glass situation and more of a Google Pixel situation, where Google launched the original Pixel and people were like, meh, it's fine. It's like a little bit outdated, but it's a good, solid thing that works. Especially once 5G is more viable, especially in like large urban areas, which it will be in the next 5 years or so. 5G will actually be a thing that kind of your everyday person with a given amount of income can afford. This service will make more sense at that point. Right now, it's like an extended beta, and I think they may have pulled the trigger a tiny bit too early on it.
A lot of it too early, in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna put my salt shaker away. I'm sorry.
All right, salt shaker away. Let's talk about humble choice. And we all love.
What a perfect thing to talk about.
Yeah, and this. And we're gonna burn a little bit through these. bit.ly / what's our humble thing?
It's bit.ly / GameBrew. That's bit.ly / GAMEBREW.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go there and sign up for the humble choice stuff. We get a slight little bit of
kickback, and some of your money goes to wonderful charities.
Yes, it's awesome.
And you get to play games.
There you go.
Yeah. And this is a really cool subscription service too, because, and I'm sure like Chris has talked about it. You've heard us talk about it so much. So we're not going to talk your ear off about it.
Yeah. And we swear we are not on Humble's. We're not on Humble's payroll at all. We should be. Humble Bundle, if you're listening.
We should be. Yeah, Humble, if you're listening, you should.
We're not.
We will gladly change the title of the podcast to the Humble Bundle Podcast if you pay us money.
But the games on here are so good, and the fact that you get to choose from among them now is really cool. I really love that. Like, it's not just like, here's the games you get. You're like, here's an offering, and you get to pick. I love
this is an adaptation or an evolution of monthly.
Right.
Instead of just 12 random things.
Instead of just giving you all of the keys, instead it says, here's the 10 games that you can pick from. So pick whatever you want, and then we'll have that. Now, you can still do that at a later date, but it's good for them because it's saving them a little bit of money, because then they don't have to actually like give you all of those keys so that you have them even if you never use them. So you can pay, it's like, oh, I'm going to use this game. And then, so you get that, but you get the option to do as many as you want, which is kind of neat.
And you keep 9 of them every month.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's also like a Humble Light subscription where you can choose 3 instead of 9,
Yep.
which is what I'm doing. It's a little bit cheaper every month, which is really cool. And if you have a Humble Choice subscription, you also get access to the Humble Trove, which is a bunch of games that are really good, and you have access to them basically forever.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, Humble Bundle, thank you.
Keep getting. Have we seen Humble Choice for March yet?
No, that hasn't released yet. It won't release until the middle of the month.
Oh,
is
is
usually
that one?
whenever
Oh,
they
okay.
release.
I was like
stuff,
really
yeah.
excited about it. Oh,
The payment probably went through for you, maybe, but I don't know. I saw a little email today from Humble Bundle. I don't remember.
Yeah. So Humble Choice, a really great option. Definitely would recommend. And you get a 10% discount on the Humble Store, and still 10% of whatever you buy goes to charity.
It's sweet.
Humble Bundle, people.
And we get some money. bit.ly/GameBrew.
Also, I wanted to talk really quickly about Apple Arcade. Is anybody doing Apple Arcade?
No, because why?
No, because why? No, because why?
Yeah.
I signed up for it to get access to What the Golf, which, by the way, I am loving. What the Golf.
Okay,
If you
yeah.
haven't played it, this is like another one of the best comedic games I've ever played. Sort of seems like a similar comedy vibe to Untitled Goose Game, which I haven't played.
Yeah.
But and then I forgot to unsign up for it, and I am salty about it because I don't need a subscription to mobile games.
Yeah.
There's
and
nothing
that's-
compelling on there.
I don't need to pay $20 a month for Farmville, you know?
Well,
it's just not
it's $5 a month. So.
$5 a month. Who cares? It's any amount of money per month I have to pay for Farmville is too much money. Listen, I spent $2 one time. I accidentally forgot to subscribe from the Bumble thing, so I had to pay $50 for fancy dating service things I didn't need. It's too much. Don't use dating apps. Anyway.
All right.
Don't do it.
I think with that, we're going to go to halftime. When we come back, we're going to talk about the long-awaited tag on sequels, so stick with us. Okay.
Here's the half.
Here's the half. This is the halftime.
Here's the half.
If you need to go pee, if you need to get some more drink,
I need to do both of those.
different drink,
Yes.
whatever
So-
it is.
4K no Los Dos.
4K no Los Dos. Hello, and welcome back to the GameBrew Podcast, episode 75. We're drinking Jameson's Irish Whiskey, and I am feeling a little tipsy, friends. I'm just going to say it.
Just off of that one little tiny bottle?
1.5 little tiny bottles, sir.
1.5 little tiny bottles. Okay.
So you just watch your phraseology.
For me, it's rather sneaky with this hot toddy.
It's because you're like, oh, I'm just drinking tea.
Yeah, and I thought I wasn't feeling it, and then I stood up, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
That's what happened to me. I went to the kitchen and I was like, oh boy, okay, I'm drunk.
Whoops.
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 Whoopsie.
There's
gotta
no
be-
masking mine. It's just straight.
Just straight whiskey.
No chaser.
Straight whiskey. If you had to, so Jameson is good. I like Jameson.
Jameson
But
is
if you-
good.
But if you had to pick another whiskey, what would you drink?
I'm going to go with, sorry, Katie, go ahead.
The old college favorite of me and my roommate was Old Granddad.
Oh, Granddad.
Oh, Greg.
What
It's
is
a
old,
Surprisingly
classic.
good.
old granddad whiskey? Really?
Yeah.
Bourbon.
Okay,
Still
whatever
whiskey.
that is.
Still whiskey. No. Yeah, still whiskey. Yeah, definitely.
But it's bourbon. It's like you can feel like a middle-aged man from the 1950s whenever you drink
Which
it.
is what every college-age girl wants.
Yes. While rolling on the floor in your dorm room. Yes.
There you go. I would say Buffalo Trace. Good price
Okay.
point, solid whiskey.
Okay. I'm a Maker's Mark kind of guy.
I was, yeah.
Maker's Mark? I think Maker's Mark is gross.
Tennessee whiskey for me.
It's
Yeah.
aggressive.
Oh, what a surprise, Will.
You know.
That's true. Honorable mention goes to Crown Royal, which Canadian whiskey, so a little bit different, but also outstanding.
It's a very polite whiskey. It's not too harsh on you.
It's really not.
Especially the mapley one. That's like not
Yeah.
even. Yeah.
When you're drinking it, it's like sorry, so sorry.
You know, I recently got some mead just to drink something that was like kind of winey but not wine.
You had a mead?
So I had a mead, and I kind of like that. It's very sweet. So it's like
if you can get Charm City Mead Works, most of their mead is not sweet, and I actually really like it. But they have a bunch of really cool flavors if you go to their actual location. I think they sell them in cans. Otherwise, they have like elderflower, and then they have like a spicy one. But if you actually go there, they have like 20 different flavors and even like some slushy ones. You can get a slushy.
Ah, that's cool.
Slushy mead. Sounds like a town from Harry Potter. We're going to slushy mead.
Or an Urban Dictionary term.
Slushy mead.
What's a slushy mead?
Or not? No, don't Google that.
I wanna look it up. I'm gonna do it.
Oh Jesus! Okay, here we go. Slushy mead. Urban Dictionary.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Damn.
That's it. GameBrew listeners, go to Urban Dictionary. Slushy mead. Submit. Let's go. I want to see it. I'm gonna keep Googling that shit.
This list of similar terms is pretty great, though. We've got sushi slushy, skadooshoosh. I don't know what that is.
Skadooshoosh?
I don't know. Suck monkey. There's so many ways to spell slushy, I guess. Wait, what's a regular slushy? Hold on.
Please read it out loud.
Why is it on Urban Dictionary? A delicious beverage, including finely crushed ice and flavored sugar syrup.
It's a dictionary. I don't know what you think the problem is.
Rainbow slushy. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
I'm just gonna go down into a hole.
Slushy mead. Feel free to submit a dictionary thing, and if I find it, then I will send you, and it's yours, and I will send you a free game code. So make sure you use a name that I know will be you. Okay, moving on to the second half. We wanted to talk about sequels when they take forever to debut. That is, quote unquote, long-awaited sequels. So sequels that have been long-awaited and knocked it out of the park or sort of missed the mark for some reason. And that's kind of where I wanted to start the situation, because there are a lot of long-awaited sequels that haven't really been what people were hoping for. And I wanted to start with something that I feel like everybody's going to be familiar with, Diablo 3, which was quite a departure from what Diablo 2 was, and also a long-awaited sequel. And it sort of seemed like between the time of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 that Diablo sort of lost its focus, right? Like it was a very sort of story-driven, loot-driven experience, and then Diablo 3 came out and was much more focused on like trying to be an MMO or trying to be some sort of service that didn't really lend itself to sort of the action RPG gameplay loop.
It was more about obsessively looting and smashing things instead of there being any story-based things you could do. Like you couldn't really make choices in anything. There wasn't really that RPG-ness to it. Instead,
it was Chris's favorite.
just smashing.
Yeah.
Smashing.
No, looting and smashing.
Yeah,
loot
true.
and smash. Loot and smash. Classic.
Katie, did you play Diablo 2?
I did not.
Did you play Diablo 3?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. But I just feel like there was considerable distance between sort of Diablo 2, and it was like super challenging also. Like that's the thing that I remembered about Diablo 2 is that it was actually really hard, and you had to build your character in a certain way to make sure that those characters were kind of viable. Like you had to think about where you were putting your points. And then Diablo 3 just felt so easy all the time.
Yeah.
Like it was like a power trip, and it sort of lost that kind of like horror-y thing that was going on in Diablo 1 and 2, which it seems like they're trying to bring back for 4, but the sequel sort of lost its focus in terms of the game.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of where at the time it came out, I think that's where kind of the popular stuff was, which was like the looter shooter kind of genre. So it was kind of like that, but instead it was a top-down smacky RPG-y sort of game. So it was a sequel that fit the time it came out, but wasn't necessarily the one that everyone was hoping for.
Exactly. And I feel like a similar thing happened with Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Well, yeah, kind of, except it was more of the same. And whenever Mirror's Edge came out, it was kind of cool because it was parkour and it had the puzzle aspect of it. But whenever the sequel came out, it was, a little buggy. It was still more of the same thing. So it was just kind of like, it felt like a direct sequel to it, but they didn't change much. So it's kind of the opposite direction.
Interesting. Right. Like it's the opposite. It was like more like an HD remaster that didn't really innovate on it. So there's a sweet spot for these things, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. You gotta kind of figure out where the strengths are and highlight those as opposed to just doing more of the same, which Shenmue 3, which I still haven't played, but I'm going to.
Can you tell me what the gameplay for Shenmue is? Because it's like it's like Yakuza meets like a dating sim. I don't understand.
Shenmue is more of a life kind of simulator where you have to go around and do tasks. Things are all time based, and that was kind of where the originals found their niche, was because there weren't other games where you had to pay attention to what time it was, where people would be at certain times to do things. But Shenmue 3, it still kind of suffers from the same, and it has that fighter game sort of
aesthetic,
sort of kung fu aesthetic every once in a while. But a lot of it is waiting and going around doing random tasks or playing on different machines to try and get items and stuff to use. So it had its time. And then everyone was really excited for Shenmue 3, but then it was just, again, more of the same, and it just didn't fit the current gaming world.
Do you think that there's something that Shenmue 3 could have done to be more viable in the current market?
Change anything. Literally,
anything.
Put anything that's new into it that would make it more exciting for current audiences, and yes, but instead they didn't. They did what they promised, which was make more Shenmue. But that's also it's everyone was like, yeah, we want more of that. But then we were like, oh no, wait, we don't really want more of that.
Yeah. And that's kind of frankly how I feel about the Halo series, and maybe that's sacrilege. I feel like there are Halo players out there who will probably write me some hate mail, but the last Halo that I played was Halo 5, and it was so similar to even what I remember from Halo 2 that I was like, okay, this is fine. I played through the story. It was fine. But I don't remember that there being any set piece moments or new weapons that I was like, oh my God, this is blowing my mind in the way that the original sniper rifle or the original pistol or the original needler or laser sword did. You know what I mean? There just wasn't another moment where I felt like this game is a sort of pillar of the next first-person shooter genre in the way that the original Halo or Halo 2 both were.
They were pillars.
Well, I mean, there were pillars. There was a pillar of autumn in it. It's a ship that was in the game. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of it was one of the very first real good console future first-person shooters. Since I'm playing through it with Chris right now, I'm kind of remembering oh yeah, this was super fun back in the day. But it's also there's no run, you can't run in it. You just move one speed, and everything's very basic.
Yeah.
So it's Halo. The new Halo is going to be coming out with the new console generation.
Halo Infinite, yes.
Halo Infinite, and that. I don't know. We'll see, because Halo 5 was, it was okay, but as you said, it was kind of, again, more of the same. Whenever everyone gets really excited for sequels, it's mostly about I'm going to pronounce it like Allison because she's not here. It's more attributing to that nostalgia than anything. So with this new one, it's hopefully they'll add some things that make it a little bit more more welcoming to new people in the series, as well as kind of exploring the old lore and moving it in maybe a new direction. Well, we don't know. We don't know a whole lot about it yet.
I'm a little bit worried about it because they're developing it in a new engine. Probably the engine that a lot of the stuff will come out on. So it's like, it's a little bit scary in terms of like having to develop the engine and then use that engine. I don't know how much of that engine has been pilfered from other things, which is certainly possible. But that combined with the fact that we're seeing Master Chief again leads me to think that this is going to be a lot of fan service and not necessarily a lot of substance or innovation.
Do you feel like they should just let it die? Or
I do. I feel like they should kill Master Chief, and that should be the end of. What? That should be the end of. I'm completely serious. I like one of the things that I love about the Warhammer universe is that there is an end. Everything there is an apocalypse, and everything ends in the apocalypse. Now there are infinite stories to be told inside that timeline, right? But there's an end to it, and so there's sort of like this finality to the storylines of the characters we know, and so that means instead of continuing to iterate on the same characters, Master Chief, for example, we actually see a bunch of different characters in that timeline. We have the characters that live in Vermintide. We have the characters that live in Total War. We have the characters that live in any other infinitum of Warhammer games, whereas in Halo, what you see is sort of a rehashing of these same characters that isn't necessarily as rewarding as finding out about new stuff within the same world. And I think you could say the same thing about the Star Wars series, just to walk away from video games for a hot second. We keep wanting to iterate on the Skywalkers, and we did for such a long time, and over time that story sort of like lost its focus and it lost its wonder because we're still doing the same story beats over and over again. And over time, even though we want to feel that because we feel nostalgic about it, it doesn't have that same payoff because it's not new anymore.
Right.
And I wish they would have done something different. Yeah.
I'm upset about killing Master Chief.
That's why it's compelling. You had an emotional response. You just had an emotional response to killing Master Chief.
And I feel like most endings, people get upset about them anyway, but you need to have an ending. Like, it has to end somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really true.
Any good story does have an end. Like, that's like really, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If it just keeps going,
I will forever be angry at the ending of Cowboy Bebop, but it needed to have an ending, and that was the ending. So
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
And would you want to see them like resurrect the main character from Cowboy Bebop, or would you rather have them do a new story from within the Cowboy Bebop universe?
See, that would make more sense to me.
Exactly.
But yeah, no.
So I'm wondering if there are some long-awaited sequel games that we're sort of still excited about. Beyond Good and Evil 3 was something that I know that, or 2, excuse me, was something that I know that Allison... We skipped one. Allison was really excited about. System Shock 3, I think, is coming out in 2020. Vampire the Masquerade 2... I don't know if any of those things speak to any of you.
Well, System Shock 2 is supposed to come out in 2020. I don't know if it's going to anymore. 3, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
3. Listen to what I mean, not what I say.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, it's supposed to come out in 2020. I don't know if it is anymore because I think they had some issues at the developer where they might not be able to like get it ready in time or at all. So it may not come out. We're not. Which could be upsetting. But.
And Katie, I know you were excited about the Final Fantasy VII remake, which is on the horizon.
Yes. I am trying to not get my hopes up too much because same thing, like they could royally ruin it, but I am also very, very, very excited.
So the thing, the thing about remakes for me is that they are direct rehashes. And so like, I feel like this feeling of like afraid they're going to ruin it is a really big fear. And what does that mean to you? Like you're afraid they're going to ruin the story, the characters, the visuals, the music. Like what are you afraid for?
Well, yeah, because I mean, just even with the music itself, I don't know how much like copyright goes into that or not. I mean, I have a feeling there's no way that they can completely destroy it because you're coming from polygons. So like, how bad can it really be? But I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't trust it.
Let me ask you about the structure. I know that they're releasing it in terms of like episodes, and I think the first Final Fantasy they're going to release is like basically the first disc, I think.
Okay.
How are you feeling about that structure, like the episodic nature of those releases?
I think that's good, and I think that's smart of them.
Okay.
Because it's a huge undertaking and project, and something that people have talked about for almost
7 years.
No, but like people have been talking about it since it was made. If they were gonna
if they would ever make a
yeah.
new version of it.
Yeah, so that's like 20 years basically.
But what about here's a question. Would you be I mean, this is exciting, but like, what if they said, "Oh, hey, we're coming out with another Final Fantasy game"? Like, because Final Fantasy 15 came out 2 years ago,
maybe more.
Yeah, I have kind of stopped playing. Like, I played maybe 8 or 9 hours of 13, and then I just haven't really. Like, Square Enix seems to have a formula, and that's fine. Like,
they're harder to get into.
Repetitive, yeah, and like their characters are all the same tropes, just in different packages, and yeah, I haven't really been interested in the newer Final Fantasy releases.
Yeah. Ian, you asked about like what ruins or what are you worried about with the game, and I think not only like rehashes, remasters, but sequels. One of the things I worry about is what chef is in the kitchen on that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like for example, if we ever get Half-Life 3, there's a certain experience and environment that you expect in the Half-Life experience. And the last thing you want is somebody coming in and it's like, "Hey, it's Half-Life 3, but we brought Gordon back, but you're wearing moon shoes the whole time or rollerblades." The whole time. It's like nobody asked for that,
or it's VR.
You expect new and innovative things.
Half-Life Alex.
but you don't want to go overboard with that, and that's a fear I have with if we ever do actually get a Half-Life 3.
Well, right. So we are getting Half-Life Alex, which is a continuation of Alex's storyline within City 17, which is interesting.
It's not 3.
But yeah, I don't think Half-Life 3 is ever going to be a thing, frankly. But that's what you're talking about, Will, is you're talking about innovations that don't seem in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that happens. Can I ask you a question, Will? If you wanted to get like a long-awaited sequel, are you like waiting for the sequel for Counter-Strike to happen? Are you waiting for the sequel for that other video game that you like to happen?
That one other
video game that you like.
I waited so long for Team Fortress 2 to come out.
I grew
up playing Team Fortress and just kept waiting for Team Fortress 2, TF2, and good God, that took forever when it finally came out. And when it came out, I mean, it's fun. It's a good game. It was a little too cartoony for what I was hoping
Team
for at the
Fortress
time.
2 is a titan. This game was played by like basically everyone, and everyone loved it.
But that experience sort of tempered me to not sit around waiting for what's going to come out. But yes, I do look forward to like a new Counter-Strike one day, something that refreshes that experience, because I'm good with what's out there now. And beyond that, no, there's really nothing. I'm looking forward to remakes like the FF7. Don't call me for a month because that's what I'll be doing. Mm-hmm. But no, there's not.
Dan, what about you? Is there like a dream sequel you're waiting for?
A drequel, if you will.
Drequel sounds gross. I'm gonna be honest. Sounds like
Urban Dictionary.
Sounds like a wound that's dripping for some reason.
Oh, God.
Other than the next Leisure Suit Larry, Dan.
A dream sequel. A drequel. Well, I know now I'm waiting for a new God of War game.
Oh, God of War.
After the original one. Or, no, I'm sorry, not the original one. But after they had God of War 1, 2, 3. And then they were like, okay, restart God of War, or not restart, but it's more but different.
Yeah.
Which was the right way to do it. That's the right way to do it, because they were like, okay, all these other iterations were one type of game. This one takes all of those things from the original type of game, and then we're going to make it slightly different because it's more of an adventure game as opposed to a spinny, slashy action beat 'em up sort of thing. So I'm You
want to see more boy.
I want to see more. I want to see more boy. I want to have more Kratos and him being just throwing axes and swinging things.
So in Dad Kratos Part 2, do you want to see him be more axe swingy, or do they sort of lean into sort of like the aging of Kratos and the aging of boy? Because it would be interesting in my mind to sort of see Kratos sort of take on, for them to swap roles and to have like Grandpa Kratos and
see that's what I think would be good, is because at the end of God of War, which, talking to Sage, one of our other interns, he had just finished playing it, and he was like, it felt like it ended so abruptly, like, because it's like there's more you want to know about like the world they're in with all of these Nordic gods and everything like that. So they have set that up, but I think it would be interesting to have like a time jump, and so now you are playing no. What's his name?
Were you about to say Atreyu from Neverending Story? You're flying on a dragon, a happy dragon.
Hold on. No, yeah, it's Atreus. That's what I thought. I was like, I was right. But I think it would be interesting to be like have a time jump. So Atreus is older. He's not a boy anymore. He's an actual like maybe like a teenager or in his early 20s. So
Isn't he a demigod?
He is a demigod.
Right?
So spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played God of War. Revert that spoiler alert. But because of that, it's like he has like the same kind of capabilities. In the last game, he would like shoot arrows and be kind of your helper. But maybe he's like another playable character. Maybe he's a little bit more agile and stealthy, so he would have sort of like different weapon types or something like that. Would be pretty interesting. But yeah, I would like to explore not necessarily just more Kratos, but more Kratos and Atreus, since they're both still there, and they would have both things to offer. Like that's the kind of sequel I'd want to see.
Right, where it innovates but still stays true to sort of the ethos of the original game.
Right.
It still has Kratos talking about how all of the gods are just shit, just all the time.
You know.
Are there any things that we like want, like, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a direct sequel to God of War 2. Like that seems likely. Think of a game in your head. I'll give you 60 seconds. So think of a game in your head that you want to see sequeled, but probably is not currently scheduled for a sequel. Thinking in your head about a sequel you want to see. It's a sequel.
I mean, I know one because I just finished it. A Plague Tale: Innocence.
Oh.
I don't know how they'd make a sequel to it, but I'd be interested to see it because it was really fun. The story was really engrossing, and I kind of want to like keep in that world. I want to see where the characters keep going. It's very story based. Yeah.
There's you could do like a Plague Tale: Innocence, a Plague Tale: Sin, and then like a Plague Tale: Redemption as part 3 in the end. That would be good.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. But I think it would just be interesting to see where that goes from.
What would you want to see in a Plague Tale: Innocence part 2?
I would like to see one, like a different location. Like this one spends most of its time on like the outskirts of France, so it's like a lot of farmland. You spend a lot of time in like underground and in castles and stuff. I think it would be interesting if it moved to England, so it's a little bit more of like the London sort of stuff. So maybe it's a little bit more city based, maybe kind of Assassin's Creedy, where maybe you're like an agile kind of stealthy guy. Maybe because the first one was all about kids. Every main character is a child in the first one, or in A Plague Tale. So if maybe they switched it to being like an older generation kind of person, seeing what their reactions to it are. But again, there's a lot of stuff. You should really play Plague Tale Innocence because it has some interesting ideas that play out really well.
I will check it out. Katie, what about you?
So I would love to see either a sequel or even just a remake of Super Puzzle Fighter, which like I don't know why I love this game so much. Can you explain what that is?
Because I feel like a lot of people aren't going to know.
It's great.
So it came out on the original PlayStation, and it's basically like Candy Crush or like Tetris with gems. You have like falling gems that you have to put together to try to make bigger gems, and then you can break them. And in the middle of the screen are basically like Street Fighters and Darkstalkers characters.
But it's literally like Ken and Ryu,
each other.
Right?
Yeah. So like if you like break gems on your side, then they'll like attack the other side, and like you'll get to send like the bad gems on their side, and it's very addicting and very fun. And I am sad that it hasn't made any comebacks on anything, but I wish it would.
Yeah, this looks like it's like ripe for a Switch iteration.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be
Super
cool. And then I just, me being my stupid nerdy self, would love to see some more like beat 'em up arcade things on the Switch, like the stupid Sailor Moon game that we just found. It's amazing. Or like getting some of those smashy things back and into the rotation of older Nintendo things. That'd be fun.
Okay, cool.
That are on the online Switch thing.
Will, what about you?
What I'd like to see?
Yeah, like what's a sequel that you would be interested in seeing?
I would love a revamp of the side-scrolling Star Wars games, like from the
like the
SNES
Super
era.
Star Wars games.
Like the Super
interesting.
Star Wars games.
Yeah.
I would love a refresh of those.
Okay. That could be interesting. It's a little.
Those were so much fun.
That would be.
I mean, it
tough,
worked
but
with.
What would you like to see it as? Like, what would you like to?
Yeah,
Just
does it turn into a
modernize.
third-person action game or like?
No. Leave it side-scrolling. Just kind of modernize it because it worked with. What do you call those games where you're like an airplane and you're going left to right?
Oh,
up,
bullet hells?
Dodge up and down. A bullet hell. It worked with those for airplane games. Like Tiger Heli was a thing back in the day. Now we've got them all over our smartphones.
Yeah.
PS3 debuted with one. I can't remember what it was called. Just like more action, more fun, better graphics. Just a fun slash your way through it, just modernized. I mean, because those were just great fun to sit down and play through.
Would you want it to be like the current iteration of Star Wars, or would you want it to be
interesting
something different?
To have it be like
Ooh.
that would be fun.
I wouldn't mind if it were a different perspective. Like do that with the Mandalorian. Give me a side-scrolling Mandalorian, but instead of just being able to shoot, let me be able to punch people.
Okay. All right. I could dig that. I could dig that. That's why I was really excited for Star Wars 1313 whenever that first was being like kind of teased around, was because it was Boba Fett like being a bounty hunter on Coruscant,
that would be a good one.
which was like sweet because it was just like Uncharted-esque exploration and but with like gunplay in Star Wars and as opposed to lightsaber combat. So we're never going to see that though.
Yeah. I would absolutely love to see a sequel to The Long Dark, which I think everybody is aware of, which is like a survival game. The original is great and it's still super playable, but I think the single player experience they put into that game really kind of missed the mark. And the single player story experience really kind of missed the mark. The single player survival experience is really good, but I think just like a hair too punishing, and I really would love to have a Long Dark multiplayer experience that sort of encourages more base building and sort of perpetual survival situations than just the you're going to die. This is how you die sort of setup of The Long Dark, which is interesting, but maybe a little too punishing to be a game that you really sink your teeth into, at least for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Has anybody else played Animal Crossing?
I mean, yes. I played the GameCube one, back in the day.
That's coming out soon, isn't it?
That this month.
Yes.
We're getting 2 good sequels this month. We're getting Animal Crossing. What's it called? Animal Crossing.
Let me see. New Horizons.
Animal Crossing New Horizons, and we're getting Doom Eternal on the
God.
same day.
So Chris has been saying that at like PAX this past weekend, there's been so much publicity for Animal Crossing and Doom that there's so much like art and references to both going around online that he sent me this little like thing online that was like Isabel plus Doom equals like a Gretzko from yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I can't wait.
What are you most?
I used to like not understand the hype of Animal Crossing until I played it on the DS, and I love it.
Yeah. What are you most excited for in Animal Crossing New Horizons?
I don't know. I mean, just like there. I mean, besides the cuteness and the characters
and the endless debt to Tom Nook.
Oh yeah. He's always got you by the balls.
Yeah, by the bells. But he's got you by the bells.
Yeah, because they had the mobile game that was like a little. It like scratched the itch a little bit, but not quite enough.
It was a little too mobile.
Yeah. So I think if they can combine that with the DS version of like the super house customization, and like it looks like they have a lot more variety of stuff, which looks really exciting.
Yeah, well, you can also one of the things in the New Horizons that you're going to be able to do is eventually, once you pay off enough money, there's like an app system, like use your phone is like you use apps, and one of the apps that you get eventually once you get almost like pretty much all the way through the game is you can terraform your town.
Whoa.
So you'll be able to like make new land or make rivers go where you want them to, all that kind of stuff. So
Oh my God.
I think that's what I'm excited for on that.
That's exciting. All right,
That is very exciting.
GameBrew verse. What sequels do you want to see? What sequels are you excited for? And what do you want to see inside of them? Let us know by hitting us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's going to do it for us for episode 75. Say goodnight, everybody. I don't want to go. Well, you're going to bed. It's past your bedtime.
It is past my bedtime. I gotta figure out what
Stark?
library book I'm gonna get tomorrow.
I don't feel so good.
Oh God. I don't feel so good.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
All right, say goodnight, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.